Actually, if I had $1 for every time somebody said, you must be so proud to be the firstborn son of the finest man who ever walked in Madison County. And yet behind closed doors it was always different for me, because at 5 years old my dad raped me for the first time in his workshop. Little did I know he was a private drinker, and he was pretty drunk that day. But I didn't understand those things then. I just knew that he was in my face. He was kicking, hitting me, and I remember distinctly his words that you're nothing and you'll never be anything. From that point on, it became many years, especially from 5 to about 12, of him selling me to various men who would pay him for a little fun with the firstborn child of the finest man who'd ever lived. And by the time I was in puberty, I had one foot in a homosexual world, one in a heterosexual world. I didn't know how I got there. I married my wife at 17 years old. Went into the ministry at 19 years old, still living that dual life, the master of the masquerade, going into churches and realizing what it took to be loved and accepted, and I'd go home and form the mask that would make you love me and accept me. I loved the Lord, and I knew He loved me. This is just an area that, in my mind, I thought, I've tried everything. You know, I can overcome it for a while, but then it just comes back and I don't know what to do with it. So I just decided it's just best to not throw that mask away, keep it in place. So those years that I was in ministry from 19 till about 30, I don't know if you would call all of it real ministry or not, because I was messed up in ways emotionally that still, by not bringing all of this out into the light, nobody knew my story. Nobody knew I'd been abused as a child. My wife didn't know it. This particular pastor, he came to my home. He knelt before me and he took my hands in his and he said, "Danny, this is above my pay grade. So forgive me if I misstep." And I'll never forget, he was so passionate. And he said, "But this is what I see. This is what I believe the Lord's sharing with me." And he just described Danny Wallace to me. The Danny Wallace behind all the masks. The one that only the Holy Spirit can know. He took my hands in his and he said, "I want you to stay on staff. We will continue to pay you." He said, "I don't care how long it takes for you to be free of all of this, and we will pay whatever it takes for you to get the help. If you'll take it, I will not let you go. I will never let you go." But one thing that helped me was that this particular counselor actually sat down at the beginning of that session, and he pretty much opened the door for that, because he described me. He began to tell me who. He said, "Just correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong." And he began to tell me who Danny Wallace was. He was pretty spot on. He was pretty spot on. Even about the homosexuality, he brought that up. He's the one that opened that door. And I had never talked about that, you know. The only reason I'm here today talking is because I'm bringing it out into the light. You don't find freedom by walking away from your darkness. You find freedom by walking to the light. With less than $100 in my pocket, I stumbled across this thing called business brokerage. I got sent to take training in selling ongoing businesses. I had a successful business there in Huntsville, had branches all over the Southeast. Was making more money than I'd ever made in my life. I really felt in my office one day the Lord was saying, "Have you got it out of your system?" I won't ever forget that day either. I thought, what? And I knew what. When he asked the question, he said, "This thing of proving your father wrong, that you are somebody, and that you can do anything you set your mind to." I said, "Yeah, I have. I really have." And by that time, I was kind of getting tired of the whole thing. And he said, "Well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to step out, and I want you to share your story. Just begin to share it, just the first opportunity of everything that happened to you." And when he said it, I could see everything vaporizing. I knew that that's not going to be popular. The two worlds don't go together. I was accustomed to driving a brand new Lincoln Town car, pulling up in front of the bank, and they're opening the bank door for me because I'm there to deposit a $100,000 commission today. I mean, they treat you nice and they remember your name. They'll shine your shoes for you if you do that. I could see that vaporizing, because that does not translate into this guy I'm about to tell about. Well, the first person I told was a close friend of mine who we wrote some songs together, and he actually ended up traveling with us and doing some of the music with my sons and I, and he's still a close friend to this day. He was the first one I told, just to see, is he still going to be a friend after I tell him? If anything, I mean, I guess it was the hand of God that that's who you need to share with first, because he was a greater friend immediately. We were going to do a concert, and people think they're coming to a concert, and in the middle of the songs, I just began to tell pieces of my story. And I did this. Keep in mind, I'm bad about doing this. When the Lord tells me to do something, I just do it, and I don't really consult anybody. And probably in all fairness, I should have pulled my family aside and given them a little insight, but that's pretty much how they heard it too. Everything is not as it appears. What you see here is really a guy who's coming to full realization that I'm a treasurer of the Lord. I'm not everything that my father said I was. I am somebody and something simply because on my behalf the Lord is truly somebody.
How great the love of Jesus Christ. Upon the cross of Calvary, the blood was shed that pardons me. No longer